This is Nicky's attempt again to try and get the attention of the U.S. Space Force as the most advocated member of anyone in the military. A tattoo. It's a spaceman. I was meant for the Space Force. I will continue to die on this hill. But they're looking for input on the new ranking insignias, which I somehow missed this entire email because God forbid you send it over to our way in the Navy. We're on the same team, one fight, but that somehow doesn't apply to the Air Force. I should say Space Force now because it broke off, but they've somehow managed to have that same civilian personality, mentality that they bring to the military, but still wear a uniform every day. Come on, Space Force. I'm here for you. The email says, subject, you're invited to the Space Force rank insignia survey. Wish I would have seen that. Never came across. You know, you could find me on the military server. I'm sure I'm easy to find on there. I promise you. You are invited to participate in a survey to help guide Space Force communications and decisions. This survey is sponsored by the Office of the Personnel S1 of the United States Space Force, USSF, and is part of the Secretary of the Air Force Office of Public Affairs. Series of surveys. The purpose of the survey is to gather feedback on potential rank insignia for enlisted members of the U.S. Space Force. Aggregate results from the survey will be used to inform Air Force and Space Force leadership. Your individual responses will not be reported back to the Air Force or Space Force, and your name will not be associated with anything you say in our reports. I'm giving you feedback right here, Space Force. I'll let you know exactly what I think, but I'm not worried about being anonymous because I'm the biggest advocate. The survey should take approximately 5 minutes to complete to help ensure that you feel comfortable sharing your honest feedback. This survey is being conducted by an independent contractor, Force Marsh Group. Your responses will be kept confidential. Responses provided to the government will not contain information, name, phone number that allows anyone to personally identify respondents. Looks like there's a unique ID code that was required from this, and for some reason, a lot of you guys are very unique, and the fact that only some of you guys are actually subscribed to this channel, it's like 70% not subscribed, 30% subscribed. You would think those numbers would be flipped, but it's not. So please, welcome to the channel. If you're here, subscribe. So there are 4 rows of options of different ranks that you could see. We talked about in a previous video. You can go up there and check about the titles of each of these ranks, which was already kind of like contradictory to what the most senior enlisted member of the Space Force was talking about. And that was the biggest controversy people were having with that. But now we finally have some images because in that video I said we've not changed from the Air Force insignias, which I thought all this would change at once because that way it's just like bam, there it is. So now we're sitting there like, all right, cool. We have these weird rank names, specialist everything, and now we finally have a picture. So out of these 4 versions, I will tell you that the top one is probably my favorite. Now, that is primarily because of the fact it looks the most space-like. I do have an issue with the colors, though, because it's still borrowing that deep navy blue from the Air Force. Space Force, you got a chance to break off. You could totally break free silver, black, gold of some kind, something looking intergalactic. Like I said in my last video, you guys clearly are still riding the coattails of other branches with some of the names and some of the ideas that you're carrying with you. The best example of this is the furthest one down. If that does not look more like the Marine Corps than anything else, I don't know what does. But it does have that same rocker style in regards to the rocker underneath, and you'll see the comparison. I'll put those up on the screen right here where you can check that out. It does symbolize very similar looks here, which I would not want, and I know the Marine Corps is going to be very upset. Please, Marines, write with your crayons down below. They even try and be a little sneaky on the 3rd row there, and they're like, hey, Marines, we know that you probably don't want us to take that little insignia that you guys have. Like maybe if we just flipped it upside down and said it's a totally different thing. But it's not, Space Force. We're catching on to you. We know what's going on up here, but we don't know what's going on up there because you still haven't reached out to me. I want to be part of the Space Force. I've still got no emails yet. And then that second one that we've skipped over throughout this entire video looks exactly like the Air Force, except the center area there has their little space symbol, and it just is too much of a resemblance to the Air Force, in my opinion. I would not want that at all. If you're looking to break free, break free. This is like when you move out of your mom's house and you're sitting there, you're like, maybe mom, I'll come over for dinner. Then it's every day, every other day at least. And she's like, wait, don't you have your own apartment, your own food, your own job? How about you go back to your house, Timmy? I'm not cleaning your dishes. I'm not cooking for you anymore. And Air Force needs to push back a little bit as well. I'm just letting you guys know that. And I'm not the only one outraged on this entire thing. This came from the Airman NCO, senior NCO page, which is a minefield of just great content. Go check him out if you haven't. Daniel Koski says, does it matter? The majority of the time, the rank will be on the 1.5 by 1.5 square with multi-cam pattern, making distinguishing it from 6 feet an impossibility for anyone without their corrective glasses, because the masked dogs that glasses up to see, let them use the U.S. Air Force rank. I understand what he means by it's hard to distinguish, but I don't agree. I want the Space Force to be its entirely new thing because we're going into uncharted lands, and I know that we've all grown up on space movies, that really this is the one chance we're getting to finally live out that dream. Sierra writes, I like one since it's its own thing, but why the random adding of stripes from bottom to top, back to bottom, then to top? I get we're supposed to be a smarter branch, but that makes my brain hurty. If you guys don't remember, the senior enlisted member of the Space Force came out saying he wanted these ranks to stand by themselves and be easily remembered, and also be able to write doctrine around this. And honestly, I already think that it's hard to see a lot of these ranks when you're looking at the Marine Corps with E8 and E9. I mean, we could actually look at some of these and kind of make them easier now that we're a little bit wiser, but let's not start off on the wrong foot. Kyle Lyons says E1 through E4 is the same name. Specialist, so why have chevrons for E1 to E4? That's what I'm saying. Also, there's not much rank held or responsibility. The Navy had one thing right that I do appreciate is E1 to E3 in regards to their working uniform. The Navy working uniform type 3 does not have a single collar device or rank tab on it to identify, because we're like, okay, it's not really that important to distinguish between these because there's no leadership level that is held at the E3 level or below. And our buddy Pat here likes to throw some common sense at us and say this: all the services should have the same rank insignia, excepting the logo in the center and name tapes to designate which service, and shoulder/chest patch to designate lower unit associations. Bam, you're welcome. Well, Pat has solved every issue that we could have ever thought about, because I actually thought, man, when are we going to actually wear the same camouflage? That would make sense if we've put so much money into this. I look at this and I say, how can we make this easier? And I've always looked at the Canadians. I know they're nice, maple syrup and all their hockey and A's and everything else, but they've actually done some things right with their military. When I work with them, a lot of them wore the same type of outer uniform with the shirt underneath dictating which service they were in. You know, looking at this, I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below in regards to this. Do you think that they could be more specific to the Space Force like I do and create something totally different color scheme, things like that? Or do you think these are too much like the Marines, like people are saying, and maybe too much like the Air Force? I'd love to hear down below what you guys think. And as always, if you guys do want to support what we do here on the channel, we have a Patreon link down below where you can get some special perks and help us out over there. Also, we do have a join button here below this video that you can get special perks here on YouTube as well to help the channel grow. We appreciate it. But as always, if you guys do have questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.